This is the Criterion Creeps podcast, and tonight we're talking about Crazed Fruit from 1956, directed by Nakahira. RJ,
yeah,
what is the American title for this film?
Is it not Crazed Fruit?
When it was released and shown in the time period in America, Juvenile Jungle.
Okay. What do you prefer?
I don't know. I prefer not either.
Okay.
No. No tagline for this film either. What the hell?
Yeah, I don't think either of those names are very good. I think they imply things that are problematic in nature.
And a synopsis from Letterboxd. Two brothers compete for the amorous favors of a young woman during a seaside summer of gambling, boating, and drinking.
There's not a whole lot of gambling.
Yeah, no, there isn't.
It's not even a whole lot of drinking either, for that matter. There's a whole lot of boating.
There's some boating.
That's accurate.
And people hanging out and doing whatever.
Talking about, the older generation. Talking about if they could trade women, perhaps. There's talk about gambling women, but that's I wouldn't consider that actual gambling because they don't really make good on that. Not really. So, but there's boating. No. You better believe there's boating.
Oh yeah, and the whole payoff the whole movie, folks. Spoilers.
Yes, that is true.
Big boat action.
Yeah, the ending has some nice boat action, but I think we could have done without so many water skiing scenes. That's just me.
Well, how do you feel about bulges, though?
I think there's a time and a place for a bulge. Like, you can have a good bulge in a bad place, or a bad bulge in a good place. Do you know what I mean?
No, it's very even-handed of you.
I tell it like it is.
So, going in this week, I wasn't really familiar with Nakahira, and I guess looking over his filmography, I shouldn't be surprised. Like, he's kind of faded into obscurity. Ultimately, this film seems to have more of a place in terms of the history of the studio and the country, the Japan, rather than, I think, necessarily the director, who I guess went off to China, was making movies under a Chinese pseudonym. I guess even remaking the movie.
So he remade Crazed Fruit?
Yeah, and then there's the Roman porno remake, which sadly I wasn't able to attain a copy for this week.
So when you say Roman, like Rome, or like
Roman?
Yeah, or was it made by Roman Reigns?
I wish.
Oh. What do you think his porno would be?
Roman Reigns?
Yeah.
It involve that fist of his.
I'm sure it would. I don't want to know how, but I know it would.
But
for sure. Okay. Good to know.
Anyway. So, Crazed Fruit, didn't know jack shit, and of course watched the movie, and I was left with a feeling of, why is this in the Criterion Collection? And so
interesting.
I did a little digging around, RJ, a little bit of internet research, following links to other pages, some might say.
You went down an internet hole?
A touch, not very deep, pretty shallow. But so the man who wrote the novel, which this is based on, Shintaro Ishihara, who in fact his younger brother plays the older brother in the movie.
Okay.
And
I follow.
Okay. So Shintaro Ishihara, though, I'm not sure if you were aware of this, up until 2012, he was actually the governor of Tokyo from 1999 to 2012. He was the former leader of the right-leaning Japan Restoration Party, and Ishihara is one of the most prominent conservative right-wing politicians in modern Japanese politics.
I thought you were.
I fooled you all.
I thought that was you for the longest time. It's not, is what you're telling me?
So Shintaro Ishihara, he's gotten some heat over the years. He talked about how like the rape of Nanking was a Chinese fake news attempt.
Oh, interesting.
As a fiction.
Okay.
It's made up. Yeah. So he's one of those types of guys.
Yeah, I follow.
Yeah. So he's I don't know. Don't know much about it beyond like cliff notes here. I'm not sure how right wing Japan can get. I know there's that Mishima. We like that, and that's like some real full on Japanese nationalism stuff.
Is it the good kind of nationalism?
But that movie's wicked. I like that movie a lot. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about what this guy's peddling. But as a younger man, back in like the 50s, he was writing about like the upset young Japanese people who were grappling with society.
But what were their opinions? These upset young people, wasn't their thing that they weren't happy with the way things were?
Seemingly, they seem to have it pretty good. They've got money and boats, which apparently multiple of the parts of these essays that the Criterion little booklet came with talk about how very few people in Japan could afford these things, as opposed to how many people in other countries can just afford boats and lakeside resorts and stuff like that. It's kind of a weird point to me.
Well, that's kind of what I thought. Like the whole time watching this, I was like, I don't think they're doing all these things. It's like, I don't think anyone can do these things. They're very clearly just super rich people. They just hang around and do nothing all day.
Yeah.
So.
Work out. Yeah.
You do a little working out. You do a little gambling, a little drinking. You go to the club. You hit a lady or two.
Tear some dresses. Yeah,
you tear a dress. She says no. You give her a slap. Then you go water skiing for a while. And that's a full day.
It's a lot of work right there, what you just described.
Well, it's pretty much the whole movie, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Almost.
So this is. You ever heard about was it the Sun Tribe?
I've heard of a Sun Tribe, but not this Sun Tribe.
So this was the beginning of trouble. Was it Taiyo Zoku? Was the name of this like particular? That's like the how we have millennials, Generation Xers. Well, in the 1950s, this was like kind of like the rebel without a cause kids, the ones who are like they're having problems with how the Japanese government seems to be paying a little bit too much lip service to America, but at the same time they want to be able to like embrace American stuff. Like rockers and greaser subcultures, like they into Rebel Without a Cause. Mm-hmm. James Dean, who younger brother Ishihara, Yujiro Ishihara, the younger brother playing the older brother. He's like one of these guys. He's a cool dude.
You think he was a cool dude?
Well, I think for audiences at the time, he was a cool dude. I don't know. I don't know if I'm feeling this guy's all that cool though. I don't know if I care about any of the people in this movie.
Well, even I think you're supposed to synthesize. I think you're supposed to synthesize with the younger brother.
Like photosynthesize?
No. People don't have chlorophyll, dude.
Like Woodrow?
Woodrow Wilson?
What, like Swamp Thing?
Oh, Woodrow. Yeah. So I think you're supposed to sympathize with the younger brother, but I never really did, to be honest. I was like, he's not that likable. He's just a quiet little wiener who just sits in the corner. You know what I mean?
So just so you're clear, RJ, Jason Woodrue, the Floronic Man, also known as the Plant Master, Floro, and the Theater.
I see. Well, I was thrown off by the Woodrow thing. I was like, the hell are you talking about?
I think because he stopped calling himself Jason, I think, in those Alan Moore comics.
But I mean, he was in the Swamp Thing TV show, so we got that going for us.
That's cool.
Yep. He eats
like crazed fruit. That's a plant.
It is a plant, so it's connected to the green in some form.
Yeah, it's a seed from a plant.
Yeah,
it's all about this is a movie about photosynthesis. Is what I've been trying to get at.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All along. It was all there all along.
Very accurate. Yeah. So tell me more about photosynthesis.
Well, so this movie, I don't know. I don't really have like the best notes on this movie because it's kind of just a series of events. So
yeah,
hold my hand here a little bit. The two young brothers, they're taking the train out to the seaside to oogle some ladies, maybe get a little action. Well, actually, that's exactly what they want. They're on the prowl.
They're prowling.
Yeah, they're at the train station and they're getting off there, and there's some ladies, and the one brother's like, "Yeah, I liked her body."
Yeah, he really emphasizes that though. He says, "Still though, she did have a body."
Mm-hmm.
And you go, "Yes."
And the guy's like, "Oh man, you never talk like this. You're very horny."
You must be incredibly horny because I've never heard you talk about a female in this kind of sense.
That's right. That's right, Quark.
I think he drops a female at one point in this thing.
Yeah, there's some. Who knows what these translations?
Females, I speak Japanese. I can tell you.
Yeah, fair.
I got it.
Then we get some hardcore boating, and then I was thinking about like, how does RJ feel about this movie at this point? Is he talk? Is this like, I don't know? Is this what he hopes for in his white boy summer?
No, it's not. It's not as white boy summer as it needed to be. I mean, it did have the water skiing. There weren't a lot of sunglasses though, which isn't quite good. It doesn't fit the aesthetic either. Like they weren't wearing quite the right clothes, but
it was a different era.
Yeah, I think Chet Hanks would have been there if he was around at the time. I think he would have been there and he would have spiced things up a little bit. He would definitely have been there for the proposed poker game as gambling chips.
Okay.
I think so, because I feel like that fits into a certain branch of things that he has sometimes been associated with. Not selling women or gambling women, but things.
Yeah.
Things.
Do you think this makes Tom proud?
Chet Hanks?
Yeah.
I don't know if I feel like Tom doesn't care, and I think that's for the best.
Yeah, he doesn't ask questions.
Yeah, he doesn't ask questions. He just lets sleeping dogs lie. You know what I mean?
Does he turn to his wife and say, "Hey, he's your kid"?
Yeah. Don't you love that when someone say it was your sister and you had another sibling and they're like, "Hey, it's your sister," and it's just like, "What are you talking about?"
Mm-hmm.
What are you talking about? Yeah, so they go boating for a while.
Yep.
And then they go back to the house. They they play some cards.
Yep.
They describe why the older generation just doesn't get it.
Wow.
And then they have a little dinner.
What an insight.
What an insight. Yeah, and it's played very strangely too, because at that moment they cut to those lower side angle things, I think, to emphasize the point of the conversation or something. And I was just like, I don't know if this is having the effect that you think it is, bud.
Which bud are you referring to?
What's his name?
Ko
Nakahira. I was like, I don't know if this is doing what you think, Ko. So then they have some dinner, and then they talk about the proposed women gambling, and then a young brother, he's still long about this little sweetheart that he saw at the train station. Mm-hmm. And then they all go, "Whoa, look at you being all horned up. You're never talking about horning down with the boys." So they're like, "Yeah, we'll set something up in a little bit." They have a little snooze, and then Jarrett, don't you know, they go water skiing again.
Whoa! What happens then? They see her?
Well, they all go water skiing. You get a montage of them all standing up on their skis. They ski around for a little bit. They think they lose one of the girls, and then they see someone swimming, and then don't you know, it's that young little filly from the train station.
But she's all alone.
Yeah, she's alone out in the water. She's got a swim cap on, and a young guy and older brother go, "She looks vulnerable.
Nice.
We better get her."
Yeah. It's really good.
Get her.
Get her.
So there's a brief
help her out.
introduction. Yeah, help her out back to shore. There's a brief introduction, and they're like, well, maybe we'll run into each other again. And then, don't you know, Jarrett? They do.
It's a small place. Yeah, because they were talking about the lack of action, actually.
Yes.
It's like, hey, man, we came out here for a good time, and there's like, where are the ladies at? Where's the talent?
Where's all the talent at? Well, then they go to like a ball of some kind, and I think just before, or does he starts hanging out with her a little bit more?
Mm-hmm.
Do they go to a restaurant or something?
Yeah.
He sees her, and then younger brother and the girl start hanging out a little bit, and then they go to the ball, and then that's where the older brother confronts the girl, right? Is that the right timeline here?
I think, sure. I'm gonna go with it.
Yeah, younger brother and girl hang out a little bit. They get a little bit close. Then they go to some kind of like dance or something. I don't know. Everyone's dressed up real fancy.
Yeah.
And then older brother confronts girl and was like, "So do you like him?" And she's like, "Yeah, I do like him. I like him a lot." Oh, yeah. They go to younger brother steals a car and takes her away, and then they do it. That happened before, and then this happens right after.
Well, and yeah, they do it.
They do it. Yeah.
But that's not who she was meant to be with.
No, because older brother says, "Listen, just give me a try, and if you do, then you'll know that he's for you, and if not, maybe then it was better off." And she says, "No, I don't really want to do that." And so he gives her a little shake, and he's like, "Listen, honey, this is gonna happen." She gives him a slap. He works through the no.
She gives a little
a little bite.
I like that. I slapped you, and you're like still going to do what you want to do, and I like that.
Presenting pretty problematic behavior into the youths of the time.
Well, I do believe that some audience members said that is us on the screen, rendered real. And it's even though it's like
young men?
Like all young people, they're like, this is our experience, and it's like, no, it's not. None of you are doing any of this. This is like what you probably like are feeling. But so yeah, I don't know. Apparently, this movie was very controversial at its time. RJ, there was a lot of pushback from the censors saying
because of the amorous favors.
Yes, the tearing, too much sensuality. Apparently, the rampant misogyny is fine.
Yeah,
but no, you can't depict young people doing these things.
Well, that was fine until a couple years ago.
Yeah,
so we were good for a long time on that one.
You want to hear? I just want to throw out here. So this is from the Chuck Stevens essay from 2005.
Oh, Chuck, huh? Great,
Chucker.
Yep.
Let's see here. What it is, of course, is Crazed Fruit. Director Ko Nakahira's 1956 Nikatsu Studio youth flick, the epochal Taiyozoku classic that helped transform post-war Japanese cinema. An emotionally and aesthetically roughed-up program picture so stained with hormonal sea spray and ideological lip sweat that it outraged Japanese housewives and educators.
Ideological lip sweat?
Yep. How do you like it?
Why is it ideological?
Challenge the intimate relationship between Irin, or Irin, E-I-R-I-N, the Japanese Film Censorship Board, and the film studios it was mandated to monitor, and seismically shock-started the tsunami of the Japanese New Wave.
No. I don't,
You don't like lip sweat?
I'm not a big fan of ideological lip sweat, if that's what you mean.
So Nakahira, he'd made one single movie for the studio before this, which apparently was called Beef Shop Frankie.
That sounds a hell of a lot better than Crazed Fruit. No. I'd watch something called Beef Shop all day long.
Beef Shop Frankie?
Beef Shop Frankie. As long as it wasn't like a real beef shop, because that would be a bummer. But yeah, I'd watch that all day long, baby. Well, that is a weird thing from, what'd you say, Rich Stevens?
Chuck
Stevens? Yeah. So that's weird. I can see why. I mean, half of the movies we watch were controversial at the time in some form or another, or they weren't and they are now. But I don't know. Call me crazy, but when I met in the 12 years I've been with my wife, Jarrett, we've never slapped each other and then been like, ooh,
Hot to trot.
hot to try. It says we're not working through the no, is what I'm trying to say.
Right. But, yeah.
So,
But you are booking your tickets to Pound Town.
I don't know what you mean. We're Catholic, so we're celibate.
Though a 1956 issue of Time quoted one 21-year-old farm boy as opining that Ishihara writes truly what we, the younger generation, are looking for. The magazine was quick to editorialize against such idol worship, observing that, quote, for Ishihara himself, the truth was not so simple. A conscientious professional who lives quietly with a pretty, kimono-clad young wife in the ancient tradition of his ancestors, the idol of the Sun Tribers tempers his cynicism with hard work. As an author, I've got to sleep with my generation like a prostitute, but I've also got to climb out of bed occasionally and try to get one step ahead of it. End quote.
I don't totally understand. Jared, I don't understand. I don't. So, anyways, so the older brother,
yeah,
he gets through with the girl, and then he's doing that for a while, and then he starts to take out his frustration with the younger brother. The younger brother doesn't know what's happening, but the older brother is just like, that chick sucks. You should dump her. She's stupid. I don't like her. You should dump that chick. He's trying to badmouth her.
Yep.
Younger brother doesn't really understand why. Some more shit happens for a while.
Well, there's like, cause you find out like she's also got like a sugar daddy.
Yes. So she's kind of. She's got a more than a couple irons in the fire, I think.
She's a woman of the modern time.
Well, you know, it's all about different strokes, right?
Gotta make a living.
It's a living, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's a living. Yeah. So she has that, and then the brothers are a little upset. She winds up on an island with the older brother.
Yeah.
Or they went out sailing.
Yeah.
And then the younger brother comes and they go, "Aw, he's been looking for us all night, and he's on his little speedboat." And then that's where, in the last 5 minutes of this movie, I was actually like, "This is okay. I don't mind this." I was like, if it's gonna end the way I think it's going to, I'm okay with that. And then it does, and I went, yeah. I was like, that's what I was looking for. Mm-hmm. And then off into the sunset, right, Jared?
Off into the sunset.
Yeah, never to be seen again.
Yep.
So I don't know if I missed anything, but
I don't know. That sounds there's a whole lot of what have you getting to the destination, which is going to maybe upset the big Crazed fruit fans out there.
I mean, I hope there isn't too many. So I like you were saying earlier too, and like some of the stuff you talked about was the movie's like influence and backstory is more why it's in the Criterion. But like when I was watching this, I thought the same. I think about 20 minutes in, I was just like, what the fuck is this? I was like, I don't want to see any more jet or like boats water skiing. I was like, I've hit my cap. I know what water skiing is. I don't need to see any more. And then it happens again and again. And then even when it's not water skiing, it's just like people like lying on rocks. And I don't think it's that young love thing that everyone's always like, well, it's young love, you know, it's like awkward and playful. And like, that's the same kind of shit that a lot of the recent young love movies that I always shit on. I won't mention them now, but it's the same thing there. It's like, yeah, this is young love. It's like, I don't think it is. It's like maybe for you, but like, and like maybe I'm being dismissive the same way, but it's like I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. And even if it is young love, Jarrett, maybe we need to change that. Maybe we need to step this up a little bit. You know what I mean? So I pretty much didn't like this movie at all. To be honest.
Me neither.
Yeah. I think it's boring. I don't think there's I don't think there's much of value to it at all, to be very honest. Like,
Yeah.
like even whatever it's alleged like influence at the time was, I was just like, I just don't think it's very good, just flat out. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
I didn't get really a whole heck of a lot out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought, yeah, I've been kind of dreading watching these like 50s, 60s Japanese movies that aren't like Ozu.
Well, yeah, we've had some good like the Ozus are always good.
Yeah, I mean, even like there's some. Like, I was reading about this the author Ishihara guy, and I think he said, if I had spent enough time being a filmmaker, if I got more into doing filmmaking, I would have been better than that Kurosawa guy. I think pretty well is what he said too. And I went, what did that happen, Shintaro?
Well, it's kind of like the Nicholas Winding Refn thing. No one can ever verify or check that. So if he can say whatever he wants, he can say Dune is the greatest movie that ever would have existed, and it never happened. So he can say it. It can go unchecked, right?
So he's got quite the a stack of movies that he wrote films for, though. So there's actually two that I've seen before. For I Am Waiting and Rusty Knife, which are like neo-noir-y, or noir-y, but they're Japanese. Though, I think Rusty Knife was decent, or no, I Am Waiting was decent. Rusty Knife was okay. And then there's one day we'll be watching Pale Flower.
Pale Flower, I've heard is good. I've heard. I've never seen. I've heard.
One day we will see it.
You will see, or well, yeah, that's what I mean. I've heard it's good, but I don't know.
But yeah, no, like it's kind of strange. Like coming off of watching last week the Browning version, which I had lowered expectations for. Came into it, watched the whole thing, went, that was really good.
Yeah.
Cool. And then Crazed Fruit. I'm like, I don't really know anything about this movie. No one really seems to talk about it. It's got a few things going for it in terms of like, it's got that stamp of approval from Criterion. It's Japanese cinema. It sounds like the movies that people like to watch, which is like youth culture and love triangles, and maybe it's something in the making of the filmmaking itself will reveal, and it'll actually be like, oh, that's okay, that's pretty decent. It didn't even hit that for me. It didn't even like make me go, oh, this is a story really well told, or oh, or it goes ridiculous into some like where it's something like, what is going on? Is he masturbating to a piano?
It looks like it in one scene, a little bit. Honestly, it looks like it.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad that you thought so. I didn't think that you would like this, but I'm glad that we're in agreement, because I was watching and I was like, I don't think this is just me. I was like, I think this movie sucks. Like just objectively, I think this thing sucks. And I'm sure
I would say
there's always a champion out there
I would say it's
somewhere.
underwhelming.
Yeah. I was flat out. Yeah, I don't like actively dislike it like I do a lot of my bottom ranked Criterions. I was just bored the whole time, and I watched the whole movie. I wasn't staring at the ceiling. I was bored throughout, and I was just like, I don't care about this at all, and it sucks, and I'm bored, and I wish I wasn't watching it. And I wish it wasn't burning a Tuesday on this bad boy, but at least it wasn't a Wednesday.
Hey,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. This is sorry to disappoint people, but there's not really much to say about this. Like,
no,
it felt very by the numbers. Like I don't find our female protagonist that captivating. I don't find these brothers interesting. I don't find there's no plight. They're not good characters.
No, they're not. Yeah, and they're not likable in any way. None of the characters are like you said.
It's not nihilistic in an interesting way. It's just this has got that maybe a little bit of that Antione vibe to it, RJ.
Antonio.
Where it's like, isn't that just enough though? It's a movie. Isn't that enough? It's black and white and people are on water. It's just like
L'Avventura.
L'Avventura. People love it.
Yeah,
it's
but we spice it up with the water skiing.
Yeah.
I'm a Ko Nakahira, and I'm gonna give you a little water ski.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not great. I kind of felt that too, where I was like, La Ventura has some better visuals to it,
Yeah.
but it's equally boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, this just has, but La Ventura doesn't have water skiing, so it's a pretty tough call on which one's better, Jared. Visuals or water
and
skiing?
don't forget about those bulges.
Yeah, there's some bulges in here. How do those rank on your bulge scale?
I don't know how many bulges we've experienced in the collection proper.
We should have been keeping track.
Yeah. Well, it's like kind of like we should have had a cat tracker, the Wang watch, and
Wang watch,
and I don't know what you call bulge patrol,
bulge boy, or bulge badge, brigade,
bulge brigade,
brigade.
Yeah.
English hard, word tough.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this movie is very boring, and
maybe the Roman porno is better.
I guarantee the porno was probably better. I can almost guarantee that.
There'll be some real banging in that.
Well, maybe.
Well, it'll be simulated banging, I'm sure.
It would maybe be simulated.
Maybe.
But yeah, boring.
Boring. Do not watch. Zero buys.
Yeah, not for us, right, Jer?
So the 1981 version, a working class young man, Tetsuo, who distrusts all rich people, falls in love with a girl, Chika, from an affluent family. He has a difficult time, but love survives despite the problems. This is based on the same novel.
I was gonna say, is that actually related?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how that could be, but
okay. Weird.
Indeed. Very weird.
Huh. Well, I hope someone I wish someone locked that can watch it and then fill us in. Tell us if it's good or not.
Absolutely.
Potentially.
This is gonna be the shortest episode we've done in a long time. That's okay. That's okay. Yeah. I can feel my my second vaccine symptoms come and go.
Well, let's wrap this up then. I'll let you go to bed, big guy.
Wow, I'll be fine. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
So I'll talk about who hates, and then maybe we'll take a look at who loves.
Sure.
For fun. All right. So who hates Crazed Fruit? 1 star for feels for reals.
Ooh.
I can see that I'm in the minority here, but I fucking hated this movie. I know I'm supposed to say, oh wow, look at the disaffected youth. They are rebelling against traditional Japanese culture. They are having sex and fighting. They are wearing Western style clothing and listening to rock and roll music. How daring and subversive. But what I saw with my own eyes was a group of dudes who sit around complaining about how boring everything is and who treat women like utter shit. Their rebellious nature is not predicated on a shared group of ideals that goes against that of previous generations. No, they are not challenging anything. They are just hedonists and assholes. Ooh, subversive. Also, this movie sends the message that sexual coercion and rape can be used to win over the object of your affection. Yup.
Yeah, it does.
It does. It doesn't feel like that. But then when you hear about the guy who wrote the novel this is based on and his brothers in it, and you're like, maybe these guys are just kind of
good dudes,
kind of gross dudes, and maybe that's coming through in this work, being like, I don't know, who's this for? Really,
I agree.
Who's this movie for?
I agree.
But
this person also 1-starred Gertrude. You remember Gertrude?
Yeah, I remember that Gertrude.
They also 1-starred Lilo and Stitch, which I find a little bit strange.
Interesting.
People don't like that Lilo and Stitch.
I liked it. I liked it a lot when I was younger. I wasn't a kid.
So did
but,
I.
I don't know. Maybe it's really bad now. Maybe it's aged poorly.
I don't know. This person's other favorite films are Sawdust and Tinsel, Picnic at Hanging Rock, Woman in the Dunes, and Yojimbo. A lot of Criterion stuff, but shitting on Lilo and Stitch.
Woman in the Dunes is
strange.
Really good.
I've heard. I have not seen, but I've heard.
Tau A, 1.5 stars, has a nice summery vibe, but extremely boring, and I fell asleep.
I prefer Tao B, if you ask me.
Hmm. Or Tao Lee.
Tao Lee. Oh, yeah, I guess. Um, they also 5-starred Woman in the Dunes. And, I mean, they 5-starred Predator, so that's pretty cool. T2 Judgment Day. Perfect Blue, the anime. Favorite films, Fallen Angels. Chungking Express, Fireworks from 97, and Throwdown 2004.
God
So
damn.
I mean, this person
They like that.
seems
They
to
like
be,
that Asian cinema.
Yeah, they half a starred Breathless,
That's fine.
which is
I don't
yeah,
care about
that's
that.
fine.
I mean,
Yeah, I just find it funny.
yeah.
They also half a starred Chud, and yeah, Chud's not very.
Wow. Is
Chud's
it,
not a half a star, but it's
yeah. Depends on what you type of
it's
movie.
not
Well,
much.
if you're watching only Criterions and then you say, "I'm going to watch this chud," and be
I'm gonna
like,
throw Chud
"I'm
on.
going to turn my nose up toward this sewer people."
Mm-hmm.
Who's really to be blamed here, though?
Well, who are the real monsters? Oh, they half a starred Roma as well.
That's fine
Coway,
too.
throwing down some heavy stuff. Heavy, but I'm on board.
One more hater. Tom, 1.5 stars. This movie is out there, man. Starting strong and quickly becoming really weird. Glossing over rape scenes and vilifying women thematically builds to the most baffling double murder conclusion. Don't watch it.
They said something that I was gonna poke at because I was like, what? But here's a weird bio. I'm more mature than you because I don't rely on Jeremy Johns or Chris Stuckman for my opinion anymore. I don't know who either of those two people are, so I feel like that's supposed to be funny, but I don't get it.
Yeah. So I just looked at the back of, or basically the text that goes on the Criterion of this movie.
Yeah.
Adapted from the controversial novel by Shintaro Ishihara and critically savaged for its lurid portrayal of the post-war sexual revolution among Japan's young and privileged. Crazed Fruit is an anarchic outcry against tradition and the older generation. But is it?
I think that's the key to focus on there. Is it?
Is it?
But is it?
Well, these five. So, okay, you go, continue.
No, I wasn't gonna say anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I think. What does Tom have to show for his work?
Oh shit! I already. He had. I mean, nothing crazy. Once Upon a Time in the West as a favorite film. Harry Carey. Not a lot of ratings actually. So 5 stars to things like Captain Fantastic, Moonlight, Lawrence of Arabia. That's about it. And then some half stars. Spiral, the Chris Rock Saw movie, which apparently people do not like. What else in here? Star Wars, Rise of the Skywalker. That's about it. They don't have a whole. They don't rate a lot actually. So that's it. That's it.
That's that.
That's it for Tom.
This person's 5-star review is way too long.
Is that Filbert?
Yeah, I could read it. This could be the one I read because this person's got so much to say. Let's see how we feel about this. Filbert Die. It's kind of funny to think about the moral outrage this caused in 1956, knowing what Nikatsu would be up to years later. It's funny to think that they had agreed to produce no more Sun Tribe films, only to produce much more lurid material later on in the Roman pornos. I'm obsessed with this movie and its place in history, and how important it is to the development of Japanese cinema. The log line is unremarkable. 2 brothers fighting over a girl. But embedded in this sibling rivalry are questions about Japan's future, depicting a generation of young people who are bored and chaotic and surrounded by foreign influences. They got their fast cars and loud clubs and an attitude to sex that was previously unthinkable. People thought this film was dangerous because there have always been people who think that anything the young people like is dangerous. It did turn out to be kind of dangerous, but not in the way that people were probably thinking. The ensuing new wave was hardly the corrupting influence that people thought it would be. No, the danger came from the Shintaro Ishihara, who was the author of the story from which this movie is derived. Ishihara leveraged his popularity into a career in politics, and he became a right-wing nationalist who would end up accusing the Chinese of making up the rape of Nanking, among other things. It would be revealed later on that Ishihara gave financial support to Aum Shinriko, who might know as the cult behind the Tokyo sarin gas attacks.
Oh, nice.
Nice. Despite this, he still enjoyed a pretty lengthy run as governor of Tokyo, and it's all very strange to think that he made his name on a book about rebellious youth, about a generation trying to find some meaning in the emptiness of their Japanese existence. It could be said that Ishihara, in writing Season of the Sun, is directly responsible for the Japanese New Wave. All these left-leaning movies that really set out to challenge traditional Japanese values, advocating for a fairer, more open society that embraced different ways of life. See, I don't think it really did. And
No.
I don't know. I don't think so. I'm not feeling that. That seems to be inserted, but I don't know.
I think that's something they say after the fact, and it's just like, yeah, I don't fully get that, or I'm not on board with that one.
Yeah, and it's really fascinating to me that he turned out to be a bigot and a racist, and generally the opposite of whatever those films stood for. He's the type who will tell you now that the youth are being corrupted by something or other, being led astray by some sort of gay agenda or whatever, and he'll tell you that movies are dangerous because that's just one of the ways that people hold on to power.
I mean, I don't think so either. Like, I don't think that. I think a lot of this stuff is this person's opinions and not what's actually in the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not really on board with you, Filbert. Filbert is a professional film critic.
Ooh.
Amateur semiotician. What is a semiotician?
Semiotician. It's like semiotics.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Study.
What's a semiotic?
Semiotics?
Yeah.
Isn't it studying language?
Oh, I don't know. Fuck me.
It's like Noam Chomsky. He's a semiotician.
Okay. Well, I know. Chomsky.
Sorry. Well, it's not language. It's like sign processes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I know Chomsky. I don't know where this guy's a professional.
You know about signified and signifiers, RJ?
I know about sigmoids and epsilons.
What about muckben?
I know about muckman.
Yeah,
I'm one of the few people who actually do.
You like those linguists?
I mean, linguists. I do like Noam Chomsky.
Well, see, semiotics though can also study non-linguistic systems. How do you like them apples?
Those are way bigger words than I can understand.
But how do you feel about biosemiotics?
I'm doing it right now.
Semiotician.
I'm doing it right now. This Filbert guy, I think it's exactly what you would expect. A lot of like Asian cinema, which apparently is what they're into. So that's what they said.
He is a chronicler of Filipino cinema.
Yes. So I mean that checks out. But a lot of 5 stars to like new stuff, which I always find like a telling thing. So 5 stars to Promising Young Woman, 5 stars to Nomadland. Like, what the fuck else? I saw a couple other ones. Like, he's got good movies in here, like 5 stars to Kiru, High and Low. But when I see movies that came out like 2 months ago, The Irishman, 5 stars, First Reformed, 5 stars, Little Women, 5 stars. I haven't seen Little Women, but the Suspiria remake, 5 stars. Get out of here. Get out of here, Filbert.
Yeah, this is anything but a 5-star film. Even by like the measure of
Yes.
this, it's like this review is a history lesson. This had nothing to do with the quality of the movie. And when I read 2 different essays from on the Criterion that are about this film, it's all like academic and like, you know, talking about it in terms of historical placing and, well, this is what it meant for the moment. But like no one says, oh, this was actually I like this. Other than it checks so many of my boxes. It's so important, and it's like, yeah, it's not a good time to watch. Like it's.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And you go, is it? Any of these things?
Go watch some Gundam movies. That's everything you're going to need to know in life.
Mean, so far, I feel like Gundam is telling me a lot more about life, about war, about the crushing weight of having a role kind of thrust upon you that you don't necessarily want. It's crushing, Jared.
No.
It's crushing. So, yeah, Gundam is where it's at, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Not Crazed Fruit.
Not Crazed Fruit.
Not Crazed Fruit.
Yeah, get out of here.
Get out of here, you crazy fruit bastards.
You're a rotten apple.
How long you been sitting on that one?
It came to me.
Oh, okay.
I was very inspired. This movie inspired me.
That's fine.
It's a little mealy. It's gone
Well,
off. But if it were a banana, you could make some good banana bread out of it still.
Are you usually a banana bread or a banana muffin? What's your go-to?
Oh, a loaf, a bread,
A loaf,
as opposed to a muffin.
I'm usually a muffin boy.
You a stud muffin over there.
Some would say.
Some might say.
A guy called me a hunk the other day.
A hunk of shit.
That's better. Let's go with that. That's better than what he actually said.
Well, any final words on crazed fruit? Is this like a fruitcake? Christmas is like get the fuck out of here.
Get out of here, fruitcake.
No.
I have a family member who loves fruitcake. Actually, he's the only one. But yeah, and it's not really crazed fruit. It's more like a funnier joke.
Yeah,
do you get it?
Yeah, it's a
funnier joke.
Yeah,
like a boring vegetable.
Like a crazed boring, like a boring fruit.
A boring fruit. Like what would be the most boring fruit you could have? Like an apple? Like I like apples, but I'm saying apples are pretty boring.
I think pears are way more in it because like I don't know. Yeah, pears. Ugh. Apples are so many different kinds of apples.
It's true. It's true.
Tree potatoes.
Tree potatoes.
That's what I think of them as. They're very potatoey.
This is what we're talking about now is better than that whole movie.
Mm-hmm. Hybrids. How about them hybrids?
Yeah. Andrew's grandpa had a tree that he like spliced like a plum on there with apple or something, and the apples had like a pink kind of tint to it. It was, I don't know how it works, but they were good.
Is that frankenfruit?
Well, like you can graft like branches to other trees, and like it wasn't like a complete cross pollination. I don't know what those apples were. They weren't normal apples. They were pink and purpley, and they were sweet.
If I grafted a piece of you onto me, would I become a hunk?
A hunk of shit.
Well, I mean, does that answer the question? Would I become a hunk of shit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Merits further investigation.
It's not a ship of Theseus thing. If you get a little bit, you're taking it all in.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't change.
Well, what would semiotics have to say about this conversation?
Well, since I don't know what that means, I'm going to say that they would be pro.
They're before.
They would be for this conversation.
After the break, I just take this podcast onto that speedboat and I just crash it into the wall.
You take me out first, okay?
Just stand where you are.